This is a music review, the 2010 release, Saturday, by the Ocean Colour Scene. It's in fact their 9th album. But let's have a brief look back at the evolution of this band. They were formed in Birmingham after other bands split up. Those were The Boys and Fanatics, both disbanded in 1989. And then they were signed to Pwit Records in 1990. Their first single, Sway, released in September of that year and got a reasonable interest. In 1983, they had the possibility of going out of business, and then the turnaround occurred, and that was when Paul Weller invited the band to support him on dates of his tour, and he invited Steve Craddock, the lead guitarist and occasional singer with Ocean Colour Scene, to play on one of his singles, and Fowler also sang on his album. So that was really Wild Wood, that was. And so that was really the evolution of the Ocean Colour Scene, thanks to that investment, financial investment, courtesy of Weller and his belief in the band. So that's how they originated, and they went from strength to strength from there on. And as I said, this is their 9th album, Saturday, and I'm going to review it. And let's just quickly have a look at the members of the band. Simon Fowler on acoustic guitar and lead vocals, Steve Craddock on lead guitar and vocals, and Oscar Harrison plays drums, bass, piano and backing vocals. Raymond Mead also involved in some of the tracks on this album, and those were basically the main protagonists to this 9th album, the follow-up to On the Ley Line, which was released in 2007. So to track 1 then, 100 Floors of Perception. It saunters into your head. That's what indie rock does, I guess, with cascading guitars on top of a shifting pop rhythm, with solid vocals by Simon, and the rhythm has a Chris Rea feel about it, or maybe further back to Pete Townsend. Lyrically, well, it's about living in the city, I guess, with the stresses of life and the rat race and the premium motivation for all. So to track 2, Mrs. Maylie. After a distorted guitar intro, it breezes along with powerful Craddock guitar licks intermingled with high-tempo piano. It's laden strong with a psychedelia style before returning and segueing into an amusing folky midsection with flute, very beatly, before restoring the high stakes of piano blazing guitar rock. A terrific sound, really. Conglomeration gyrates to a climax. Lyrically, it's a note on kindness, I guess, after a bad start in life, from the one Mrs. Miley. So to track 3 then, the title track, Saturday. A bit more restrained, but it's still a pretty picture of pop rock. It has a catchy melody and throw in some restrained horns, and it links into the piano rhythm. Simon's vocals again reminiscent of Ian Hunter, I thought, as does the band sound a bit like Motley Hoople. Craddock's guitar is a highlight, as always. The lyric, I remember the love of weekends, Saturdays and all that excess after a week at work. So to track 4 then, Just a Little Bit of Love. It's a beautiful, luscious ballad with sumptuous piano on top of cool chords that create an atmosphere full of melody and warm, tuneful vocals. It's easy, soft rock. And the lyrics, well, the power of love, I guess, to keep you going. So to track 5 then, Old Pair of Jeans. It's got a 50s feel about it, a bass riff that harks back to beatniks, Elvis with a soul feel. It's laid-back harmonies are also something to be treasured, and the horns. But there's a scent of dance in the air listening to this one. Lyrically, it's about life's wear and tear, I guess, and how people should acknowledge this in others, in relationships, as we age. Track 6 then, Sing Children Sing, starts with a gospel feel, and the horns are prominent. And it has a late 60s harmony feel, very festive spirit, almost San Francisco Woodstock mood. And Craddock's guitar is a nod to the psychedelia of that era in the late 60s. It's a well-rounded piece and has impact on you if you were around at that time. The lyrics to track 6, well, it could be just a reminder of the stories children get told about that are bad things, that they store as reality. But it also references Uncle Sam as good, and about the song being good for you, singing like children. So it's probably got a touch of politics about it, being a Christian, for example. To track 7 now, and this is Harry Kidnap. It's a tribute song to the late father, John Weller of Paul, of course, Paul Weller. Ocean Colour Scene owe a lot to Weller's help and encouragement early on, and he died at about the time that this album was about to be released. And it's an appreciation to the influence and strength of the man. It's a slow ode with some string arrangements on top of an acoustic piano-led track with stirring vocals. Very much a thank you. Some nice violin piano duet with strings enhanced midway. And of course it's about the solid acknowledgement of inspiration and a salt of the earth that John Weller offered the band. Okay, track 8 then, it's Magic Carpet Ride. It's a spiral-laden pop stomp, really. Very McCartney influenced, I thought. But Simon Father drives the tempo and rhythm with his vocal. And I was waiting for the guitar to lavish the track to another level, but I waited in vain. Lyrically, it's about dreams of special days, I think. Holidays, maybe, that give us that oomph so that we can get through life's mess. Track 9, The Word, is much more laid back and a very English sound. Is rich amongst the folk medieval feel of the skippy percussion and drums, with the orator Simon telling the story. It's an acoustic-led piano song, and it's got a neat piece of soloing, very soft, and then all of a sudden it's over. Lyrically, I'm not sure. The show must go on, I think. Track 10, then, Village Life. It's more of the same, really. The acoustic sound is a theme with Ocean Colour Scene, and this has a European feel, Mediterranean, with a whistling wind, and a small communities and their value. Nice delicate guitar solos wailing in the breeze, and distinctive vocals again from Simon Fowler. The guitar, well, it's got a hint of Spanish mandolin style, and there's a great end to this track. Lyrically, small communities. You can't have any secrets in small communities, and they know your business, and therefore you know the consequences. Postal is next up, and Craddock takes over the vocals here. It's very funky-ish, I think, with some frantic keyboards. Strange noises collide at the conclusion, and it's lyrically about technology and the erosion of the simple things in life, like posting a letter, going to the post office. Next up is What's Mine Is Yours. The clarinet opens this track up. It's a tip to music hall. It's almost what the late Mercury, Freddie that is, could have conceived. It's happy, classy, and very 60-ish, with a nod to Ray Davies of the Kinks, I think. A nice alternative to the other material, and the traditional jazz tone is also introduced. It's a little gem, really. Lyrically, a message about the material possession's futility and the value of feelings. So penultimate track now, we've got Fell in Love on the Street Again. A slow piano intro leads us to a tale of that invites the delicate mix of restrained slide guitar, and it's extracted and meshed with the vocal piano mix. Very, very nice, drenched in emotions, delicately sang. It's about life on the road, I think, and that it isn't all that it's cracked up to be. So to the final offering then, Rockfield. It's heavily influenced by The Who, and it strides along with the sound of those Baba O'Reilly keyboards ringing in your ears. And it's a strident chorus, typical guitar chords that reminiscent of Pete Townsend. And then the string-filled supplements the sound as Simon does his impersonation of John Entwistle. And oh, so what? They are their idols. And then Craddock's lead work imitating Townsend. Rockfield is a recording studio in Monmouthshire, and I suggest it's probably been used by the OCS, but I'm not quite sure about that. So overall, first album in about 4 years, but it's a cracker, I think. This band have always presented quality albums. They haven't really garnered the success that they really deserved, but nevertheless, this is not going to do any harm whatsoever, and it really does beg for repeated listening. So there we are. That's my review of Saturday by the Ocean Colour Scene.